Fantastic. Well, we are all just super excited, Tommy, to have you in the house tonight. The team is here. We have a ton of guests online, and I just want to introduce you real quick. Tommy has become just a fantastic friend and mentor to me. Him and his family are just incredible to us, to the team, and just more importantly than that to me, it's just great people. And yeah, I'm gonna let I want to let Tommy get into most of his story, but what he's produced in 17 years in his prior company, why he decided to come here is just incredible every time I get to hear it. So like I told you guys, he's created $11 million in those 17 years and created some incredible relationships. And now all of you guys on the line, obviously me and Scott and Kim and all the team members here, we get to work with him every single day and get to learn from just amazing mentorship in family and obviously in business. And so Tommy, I just want to welcome you aboard. I just want to have a conversation. We have a bunch of people on board right now that have been on calls. Some that haven't, just a bunch of people that are really excited about iBuumerang. They just don't really know, maybe just looking for that last nudge. And so I just want to have a conversation with you tonight, let you tell your story and just pick your brain a little bit to give everybody a little bit of info on iBuumerang, why we're here and so and why we're here and why you decided. Why don't we start out with why the heck did you decide to partner up with iBuumerang when you really didn't have to do anything?
Well, thank you. I appreciate you, Terry. And I see some people on here that are showing me their flight plan calendar and so forth. And Scott, what's up, man? And Brad, everybody, hello. I missed some people. Brad Schmeets, and I see my mom jumped on. He's spying on us and so forth. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it. And I love this business. I love this company. And I really honestly never thought that I would say that about network marketing again. And I'm trying to give you the shortest answer as possible to why. I mean, the shortest answer possible would be Holton Buggs. Tommy, why did you decide to build another network marketing business? Holton Buggs. Oh, how come you're waking up every morning and excited to be up and build the business because you're passionate about it again? Holton Buggs. How come you're staying up half the night sometimes, working the business when you don't really need to? Holton Buggs. It really is a short-term answer. Why do you believe this one will stick? Holton Buggs. How come you think the system, is different? Why there's so much confidence in it? Holton Buggs. It doesn't matter what the question is. That's the short answer. And because I've learned over the 17 years that that we've been in this business, and my wife Lindsay and I have been very, very fortunate, Terry, to have great mentorship. And it was dumb luck. We didn't know how to analyze these companies 17 years ago. We backed our way into it, trying not to do it. My mom got into one at a time in her life when she was rock bottom financially, and I thought she got talked into a pyramid scheme by a rich guy. I was 30 and I thought I knew it all. She was right. I was wrong. She loves it when I say that. You don't get to hear that from your kids very often. So she was right. I was wrong. And I didn't understand that she had made an educated decision based on facts from somebody that knew what they were talking about. And after 4 months of kind of, poking fun at it, assuming it would blow over, it didn't. And because she was being coachable and being coached by somebody who understood it. Somebody who had earned over $50 million, in a 33-year time frame, and was widely regarded as one of the best, in the business. What he was most known for is his ability to analyze the companies and ask the hard questions. And again, the greatest thing I've learned about the business is that there's dramatic differences between the doability and the sustainability, and there really is something to be said for being in the right place at the right time. So we stayed with that first company, like you mentioned, Terry, for 14 years, earned millions of dollars, and then really was in limbo for the next 3 years, because the last 2 years of that company, that we lost the love, we lost the passion, we lost the belief in the company making the right decisions. Our income was down 80%, but it was still substantial. And like you mentioned, we had invested wisely per the mentorship, and we have rental properties that we bought during the boom, which is really the crash, which is the real boom, right, during the crash. And we rent those out. We bought them right, so we do well with them. And so we resigned from that first company after 14 years and walked away from still a nice residual but for us, it was the right time for the right reasons. We lost the love, we lost the passion, we lost the belief. And without that, in a business is built on helping people, if you don't feel like you can do that, it's time to move on. And we listened to probably around 100 network marketing company presentations between those over those like 5 years. And the last 2 years with the company and the next three, just really being in limbo. We dabbled in one company for a minute, but we didn't love it. And we didn't find anything we loved, we keep passionate about. And I felt, and maybe I was being too, I learned how much we learned from our mentors about analyzing the companies during this time as we listened to the opportunities. And the more we would listen to the people that would be sharing, and the tougher our questions got, the less interested we would become in that particular opportunity. And I started thinking, maybe I'm just being too, picky. I know it's hard to fall back in love once you've been hurt. I thought maybe I'm just overanalyzing or, being too sensitive. But I felt that I could find things that were irresponsible, that the companies were doing, or the teams, maybe there's upline of people that would embarrass you, hype and realistic expectations, the things that turn me off. I feel that the biggest thing that you and I or any other network marketer could do, Terry, is do things that put a bad taste in people's mouth as it relates to this business. And
Right.
I just don't want to do that. What?
So you said Holton Buggs about 10 times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for a lot of people on the line, that's just a name, or they don't even really
Yeah.
know. They just
Sure.
got introduced last night or yesterday or last week. And you've been around the game for a long time. And what makes Holton Buggs, and for everybody, he's our CEO. What makes Holton Buggs so different than anybody else you've ever been around?
Well, first of all, a good question, but just because you've been around something for a long time doesn't mean you're any good at it. I know people that have been driving for 30 years. They're not any better today than they were 30 years ago, or golfing or anything else. But what's unique about our time in the window is the fortune of being in the luxury of the mentorship. And again, that was dumb luck this time, finding a good mentor, because a mentor gets to choose our student. It's not the other way around. And then becoming the student that he would invest in. That's what gave us the ability to listen to the companies and feel that they were doing the wrong things, to be doable and sustainable, and kept us out of the industry until I got a phone call that said, Holton Buggs is starting a company. My first thought, why would he do that? This company wasn't born out of the necessity to make money. And that made a statement right out of the chute. Like, interesting. Why would he do it? Because he doesn't need to. You were talking about me not needed to. No, Holton Buggs didn't need to. He took his 110 million that he made in 10 years. Here's a guy that everybody in the industry, really knows who he is. He's really the Bill Gates or Michael Jordan of network marketing. And we've all studied him. People that have been in this game for a while, we've studied Holton Buggs for a while. We're always trying to steal his stuff and, teach it to our teams, because he had earned $110 million as a distributor, as an ambassador, as an independent contractor in a 10-year time frame, and helped over 45 people become millionaires in that window. Now, the reason that's so amazing is because nobody's ever even come close to that. This is an educated guess, but it's a guess nonetheless. I would suggest that the closest second to that, in terms of what they've earned and how many people they helped, do well, because the business is, we don't make a dime if we don't help you make a dollar, and is maybe half of that. And I mean, it's that much different. So I used to ask my friend that was sponsored by him in the company where he did that, how did he do it? Give me a system. I want to teach it to my team. And he would say, Tommy, I'll give you everything. And I never could wrap my mind at that time around one culture being so much different that it could enable so much more success than another culture. And so there's a lot of big companies out there, but he had, done something very, very special. And he did it as a distributor with the governor of a founder that only thought it was a $50 million a year thinker. And he still pushed the company to around 800 million, did 3 billion in sales of a product that he didn't even consume. He had the vision to bring that product, that product category, it was coffee, to the industry and to the founder. And then he, did it and, with something he didn't even consume, and brought the company as big as he did and set records in 10 years. And then he moved on. So he's a visionary. He still earns a check from there. But here's a guy that now you got all these companies in this particular industry that are trying to build with the product that he brought to the world. And then he's since moved on and to bigger and better things. And that bigger and better thing is iBuumerang. He's just
So,
accomplished great things.
yeah, that's obviously incredible. I love his story. Like they didn't even have product for, he sold them out of product, and they were
Could smell
literally
it.
taking
Yeah.
coffee sachets around and saying, smell it, smell it. Imagine how it tastes. But you know, one of the things that I love about Holton is he created this company. Well, one of the reasons he created this company was for the little guy to win. And one of the questions
Mm.
was, when we first came on board before you got here, was, hey, can I really can I really make money without building a team here?
Mm.
I want you to cover that and what your
Yeah.
opinion is about that question.
I'll do it with a story. I mean, very simple. You know, when my friend said that you can't steal culture, his next statement was, Holton has a gift. He has this gift to create an environment, to look at a situation and improve it by in creating an environment that allows people to succeed without having to make adjustments to in human behavior. He's a study of human nature and, you know, human behaviors. And so this is an example of what you're talking about. Now, he did that, you know, as a distributor, but I never really understood it. So he says people are just perfect the way they are. We're just fine. The industry is broken because he feels like the industry has done a lot to create bad images more than it has good. And I understand that, because why I got discouraged was you can have people come into to a company at the wrong time. You know, they're not in the right place at the wrong time, but they have all the skills. They have more credibility, more influence than the guy that was in earlier that has, you know, made millions. And you you can't keep those people in. They can't see the success because they can't justify putting their energy into it because they're not seeing a return. It's not their fault. It's not, and so it's not. It's they didn't know understand that they were in at the wrong time. So, with that said, if you consider the fact that I have people on my team that literally I had this one. Not going to mention any names, but she's the least coached in the history of this business. I swear she has to be in the top few because she's been in the companies that I've been in, the companies that everybody on here has been in combined. And if you go to her Facebook page, you scroll down for 10 minutes, you know, you'll see every company there's ever been. Her husband hates the industry. She never made $1. Go figure. I mean, she does everything wrong, but she's made money here and she can't believe it. She thinks she's died and gone to heaven. But what she doesn't understand is because Holton's system and what we're discussing, like the I Decide interactive presentation, has removed her from the equation. You don't have to be a great presenter. You don't have to be a great recruiter. You don't have to be great. The answer to the question is yes. And let me give you an example. My son, he's 19 years old. He's a basketball player. He's a small white kid that just got a scholarship to play, you know, 4-year university here. That tells you how much time and energy he has to focus on what he loves. At this point in his life, this chapter, he loves basketball. I love basketball because I get to teach him life lessons through the sport. I'd be just as proud if he never touched it again. However, he heard this at the beginning. He thought, you know, I don't have to present. I don't have to sell. I don't have to recruit because we dabbled in a company before. The credibility and influence, when you're 18, 19, you don't have the credibility to bring in the right people. And so, or to get them to listen. And so anyhow, he said, I can give these to my club basketball coaches that I played for. He played for this one coach for 3 weeks after high school. When you graduate from high school, before you sign to play for a college, that's the only window that you have left to play club. Once you sign, you can't play club anymore. He played club since he was 6. This coach was trying to recruit him because he was the assistant coach at another college that was trying to recruit him. So he said, hey, play on our club team. So he did. He doesn't even know his name. 3 weeks, in that 3-week window, he said, hey, coach, I know we have a tournament coming up in Anaheim. Take this boomerang. So he threw him a boomerang. He said, it might save you money. There's no catch. It's free. So he ended up checking it out, booked 9 rooms to save $800 in Anaheim for the team. He was tickled to death. My son was tickled to death. He told another coach who called my son, who swiftly handed the phone to me. And, then we talked and I ended up sending him an I Decide. He said, I want information on the business as well of a boomerang. So I sent him an I Decide from my son's account, right? The I Decide signed him up. He signed up on first class. So I heard my son still hasn't presented. He hasn't, he doesn't even know the person's name. He gave away one boomerang. That coach that signed up is first class. So my son has now signed someone up who told another coach, his coach and mentor from in Kansas City, anyhow, another state, Missouri. He signed up first class and has booked rooms. I mean, my son's position has made more money than most people ever make in network marketing. He doesn't even know how to spell iBuumerang. He doesn't know how to log in to access the money. It's on his e-wallet. So you think about it. There is an extreme example of he didn't have to become a great recruiter. He hasn't recruited anybody. He hasn't sold anything. He hasn't presented. He away one boomerang. Now, what he doesn't understand, and that those coaches are going to continue to use the boomerang, that coach is right. And so what he doesn't understand is when different verticals come through the PRIB, the perpetual residual income builder, which is what iBuumerang is, like, that's the real excitement, is that the company is taking responsibility to keep that customer for my son. He gathered the customer with an Uber-like approach, free to get, free to keep. The objective of business is to do what? Get and keep customers. Not the goal is to be profitable. Everybody says to make money, but Uber cracked the code. Network marketing has failed miserably at getting and keeping customers. Miserably. The numbers today are the same as they were 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 30 years ago. The DSA, numbers tell the story. So Uber cracked the code. Free to get, free to keep. It's something they're already spending money on. They're already good at saving money. You don't have to teach them how to do that. They only use it when they need it, and it's guaranteed to work. So I always say this is like having 20/20 foresight. If you could go back in time, if Uber said, "Hey, this technology makes transportation more convenient, more fun, go give it to everybody," and every time they use it, it's going to work. We're going to guarantee they'll save money. And when they save money, we'll give you money. Like, we're monetizing savings, a win-win. And then we're going to bring Uber Eats to those people. And every time they eat, you get paid. You don't even need to ever talk to them again. That's turning like our houses. They're appreciating assets because of the time in which we purchase them. This is turning our customers into appreciating assets using an Amazon philosophy or an Amazon approach, data analytics and artificial intelligence. So it's brilliant.
I love that story, Tommy. I love that story. I mean, one of the questions that I just read, I think Scott and his gang brought on some pretty experienced people, and I got a couple networkers from some other companies taking a look here, because it's just getting hard out there. As you know, it's not fun anymore as it used to be. So what kind of systems are in place here with iBuumerang, and specifically maybe your team, our team here, that are obviously simple and that they can plug right into, that the reason why we're having so much success in the team?
Yeah. Okay. And by the way, I love working with you, Terry, and Felicia, and Scott. Scott is somebody that, this is why I walked away from our last company. Somebody who's paid the price in this business, who's been coachable, the type of person you look for, but you can't keep them. My philosophy is Napoleon's. You have to, he said, don't tell me how many troops they are. Tell me who their generals are. Every big money earner in this business, 90% of their income will come from between 1 and 5 people. So it's finding the right people, the mentality, right? Their mentality, it will determine the size of the business that you build, the pipeline, the diameter. And if you can bring in those people, they have to have something. The better it gets. A team that has the horsepower to bring them in, and the system in place to be able to get them started, and then they can see it working for them and justify putting more attention into it. Big picture people. Otherwise, you're on a treadmill, and you're bringing in the wrong people, and you can't build this business begging from your knees. You want people that like Scott. But he's paid the price. He deserves to succeed with this business, and that's why iBuumerang was born, for the elephants, if you will, for the fish, if you will. Holton tells the story, right? So this company wasn't built for the great recruiters, or for the yous, Terry, or the Tommies that have been in this industry, or for my mom that have already made it before. It's built for all the people that didn't make it, that don't have to become a great recruiter and invest years in developing themselves in order to have some success. So the system has a lot to do with it. And here's what's some extra special about the system here, is the fact that in network marketing, if you look at most companies, what happens is eventually you got this team using this system, this team using this system, this team using this system, this team using this system. And oftentimes they'll charge for them because it's a profit center. And usually it's not the system that they use to build their business. And so what happens is they start de-edifying their teams by using another team's system. It's the kiss of death. It's just, it runs through a company like a tornado, and just tears it apart. And here, nobody wants to do anything other than what Holton does. You've never had a company that has the CEO who's a distributor at heart, but has had anywhere near his success. So his heart is as a distributor, so everything he's created, has proven to be the best in the world. His numbers tell the story. So when he was at the other company, his system, best in the world. His presentations, best in the world. And so nobody wants to do anything different than what Holton's rolling out and implementing. This is the first time I've seen when somebody signs up, they get pushed to them the first steps of the system. I mean, it comes to them, so you don't have to count on your downline to bring it to them. It's pushed to them. One piece, one bite-sized pieces, one piece per day. And it tells you exactly what to do. So it's paint by numbers, Terry, but it's starting at the top, so there's harmony.
Yeah, it's incredible. We moved on that same point. We moved to Atlanta about 8 months ago. Of course, always on the road, traveling somewhere.
Yeah, right. You're in a different country every time I talk to you.
Atlanta has, one of the biggest teams there. There's like 7 diamonds in that area. And the incredible thing is, guys, is that I walked in the room and was welcomed I didn't know anybody in the room, not one person. And they all welcomed me like I was on their team, and literally told me, hey, I'll sit down with you and do 3-ways with you. And they get no profit from me at all. None, zero. I mean, they're on the other side of, the binary. And so my point is that when you talk about systems and when you talk about one system, it's just, I've experienced it myself personally. And as we all know, that stuff just doesn't happen. Just a second. I gotta, what do you mean exactly by paint by numbers?
Okay, yeah, I saw that question, Jenny. It's when I say AI, I'm referring to artificial intelligence. So that's what the PRIB is. It's a combination of artificial intelligence, data analytics, but what's also unique about the data that iBuumerang collects on people's search habits and what they're looking for to spend their money on, we don't sell it. When somebody opens up 15 browsers on the public aggregator sites, they have a vested interest in keeping you on there for a long time and all the filters because they sell the data. And that won't ever happen here, which is really, 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 really cool. But anyhow, that's what I mean by paint by numbers. Is what I mean is that people know exactly what to do. There's no guesswork. So you can determine if somebody's business isn't growing. We can go to the flight plan calendar, here in the flight plan calendar, and we could show them, and this is one of the first things I want people to order. And we can show them, hey, well, are you doing this? Are you doing that? Because somebody will say, hey, I want to build this so bad. Here's my goals, but they're not following the steps. It's easy for a brand new distributor, a brand new TSA to go in and look at the steps and say, well, which ones are you missing here? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And so that's what I mean by paint by numbers. You put yellow in the ones, brown in the twos. Give me a canvas and a bunch of paint. It looked like Germany after the war, but give me a paint by numbers, and I feel like I can paint a masterpiece. And that's the iBuumerang system. And here's what's really cool. It's just being rolled out. Like you're looking at this as, certain components are just being added. We're that early in this company's life cycle.
So that's interesting. You talk about that. Where I want to go next is everybody, or a lot of people that just are unknowing, they look at us right now and they think we're a travel company because that's all that's getting paid out currently, because as you say, we're so new. So where do you see, I know you get to talk to Holton and you get on those diamond calls and you get to associate with the top of the top in this company. Where do you see us, 1, 2, 3 years down the road? And I guess on top of that, what's really in it for the person that decides to get to work right now?
Yeah, well, good question. So first of all, what's in it for that person? If they're coachable. And that's a big if. Everyone thinks they are. I wasn't my first year in network marketing. I was at $1,000 a month. I couldn't understand why people were outproducing me and I was outworking them. It's a different business. It's a team sport and it's a storyteller's business. And so you have to have good stories to tell and you have to be able to humanize them. And you have to have a team that, it's too costly to make your own mistakes. So the promise to me by my mentor 17 years ago was, if you're coachable, this is your half of the equation. If you treat this like a real business, treat it like you invested $1 million into it, not a few hundred or 1,000.
Right.
Holton would say, treat it like a job. People can relate with that, right? Then if you do, I can take responsibility. This is my first time in 17 years where I feel like I can say, I'll take responsibility for your success if you do your part. Because I know I chose this team because I know what they mean to you, because of the experience our first time. This is a team that my sponsor, number 1 money earner, number 2 money earner in the company, already earning well over $100,000 a month. Great track record, bilingual, mentored by Holton. I mean, he gets it. His sponsor is the first person to earn $1 million in this, our global master ambassador. He's the #1 money earner. And so he's consummate professional. There's no favoritism. This is a level playing field, and he under promises and over delivers. He does everything that you would want a master distributor to do. And he won't embarrass you either. So he just teach you, and he'll outwork you in your group. He works for us. So the upside is unlimited. I don't know, I don't know what credibility someone has or anything, but I'll tell you this: we all have the same tools, the same time, the same system, the same team. And you have Terry and all these people that work for you that are amazing, and Mike and so forth, some of the best. And they're good at what they do before they came into this. And that's what you look for in people. If you understand how this works and leverage this upline properly, you can build an empire. I mean, you could do what could take you the rest of your life to do in a few short years. I can say this I believe this with confidence. I believe that if you're coachable and you treat this like a business, that you can expect, not hope, but expect to be set for life in 1 to 3 years. That's a big statement, I understand. That doesn't mean that you'll have the money to live the rest of your life in that time frame. But I believe that you'll have the key people in place because we have all the pieces to attract them. And the harder they look at it, the better it gets. Okay, so what do I see for the company? Interesting question, because I had somebody ask that in the very beginning when we're getting going. There was a guy, somebody in my downline took a look at. He wanted to look at this. Now, he grew up in the Amway system. He knows the industry. He'd been in it. He'd made a lot of money in it. But he also was headhunted by Apple many years ago. Apple called him. What does he specialize in? Data analytics, these type of things, artificial intelligence. And he brought a huge component of that to the company. Then 8 years ago, he was headhunted by Microsoft. They both called him, okay? He didn't call either of them. And he does the same thing for there. Well, he had been looking at the industry for the last 5 years. And like you mentioned, nobody's having fun. Now everything else seems archaic and boring to me. I couldn't even imagine being in another company. This is totally different. And the only thing network marketing about this is if you choose to build a team, you don't have to. If you choose to, you can get you'll earn overrides on all of their customers' savings as well. I mean, it's brilliant. So he asked that question to me. He said, where do you see the company, in 3 years, whatever? And I thought, this guy that I spoke with that had made a lot of money in the industry, made a lot of money, is working for Microsoft. They keep him around for a reason. And I said, I can't answer that question. I'm not Holton. And so I set up a Zoom with Holton and he, and the people that were bringing him in. And Holton was sitting in his living room and he was sharing kind of the vision, how he got to this company. And the guy was blown away because when he discovered that, travel to iBuumerang is what burgers are to McDonald's. That's not a burger company. They want us to think that. That's a real estate play. This is a digital real estate play. We're building a digital Amazon.com disguised as a travel company. And so when he wrapped his mind around that, initially he was piqued his interest because he heard Holton Bugg's, that works for everybody. It's the ultimate upline that you don't even have to make reality. And it's, then he heard AI and data analytics. That's his world. And so then when he started to look at it, but he asked Holton that question. He said, where do you see this company in, in 18, 24 months, 36 months, 5 years, 8 years? And Holton said that, he said, I can't answer that question because we're a technology company and technology changes so rapidly. The most I could give you is 18 months, where I see it in 18 months, but things change so much. And that was the best answer that this gentleman could have heard because that's real. But he said, I'll tell you this, I have a plan in place to, and he walked away from $1.5 million a month because he didn't feel like he could bring that company any bigger than he did because he was, had a smaller thinker as the founder. He already pushed way beyond that. And he got disgruntled. And he said, my short-term goal is 2 million transactions per day. So that's 2 million meals being fed a day. That's 2 million commissions between our different verticals that will come to our customers. And he said, then after that, he said 10 billion within 10 years. So 10 billion. Every company, I've never heard a company talk bigger than 1 billion. And this is why I don't think we'll hit the glass. This is why I'm here also. We'll never hit that glass ceiling where the company doesn't invest and recreate new entry points and refresh it. Like they never do hardly in this industry. So if you didn't get it at the beginning, you missed it, So what happened, he said 10 billion in 10 years. It took Amway 50 years, right? And he said, the ultimate goal, 50 billion. So that's how big he thinks. And I wouldn't bet against the guy. So $50 billion, 10 billion in 10 years. And I wouldn't bet against him. I mean, I believe rabbits leave rabbit tracks, you know, as they say, squirrels leave squirrel tracks, but buffalo tracks, and Holton Buggs buff for sure.
That's incredible. It's just mind blowing to think about where we're headed. You know, we've said this Prib word, and I want you to explain in your words what it is and why you're so excited about it.
So the Prib, when my friend first showed me iBuumerang, he said Holton started a company. And he's like, "Will you check it out?" I'm like, "Of course," because I respect the guy and because it's Holton Buggs. And that will work for you, by the way. Your team will grow a business because of him. Like, they'll have people look at this that they never could have got to look at it otherwise. I never thought about that when we were doing our diligence, what that would mean to the team. But he said, "Will you watch a video?" I watched this 30-minute video. They didn't have the name of the company. This was March 5th or something around then of 2019. And they unveiled the name on March 9th, and the company pre-launch started March 11th. And he said, "Oh, you watch a video." I watched it, but I already 2 minutes into it, I discovered that it was travel. I was disappointed. I've never been interested in the travel space in this business for reasons that Holton fixed. I mean, you couldn't make money. There's rules and so forth. It's hard to make money in the travel space, not because that was when you're making the money from the commissions from the travel that's purchased from the vendors. They're small, tiny commissions, and legally it has to go to a travel agent. All these things. He bypassed all that. He's different. You know, this is savings from customers. That's different. He went and got an exclusive on that. But anyhow, 2 minutes into it, I was disappointed, bummed out, because I kind of wanted to be interested, but because it was Holton. And I assumed that I wouldn't be interested. And I listened to the remaining 28 minutes of this presentation out of respect for my friend and to honor my commitment, but I didn't really listen to it. I had it on in the room I was in. My ADD personality kicked in, and I didn't hear the rest. The next morning he called, said, "Did you watch it?" I told him what I just shared with you. And he said, you missed the Prib. You missed the Prib." And I'm like, "What?" And he said, "The Prib." And so then he went on to elaborate. What it is basically, it brings these different verticals to our customers. Again, it will keep our customers for us and turn them into assets. How? Appreciating assets by bringing, based on their search habits, what they're searching for. And it will bring to them, maybe discounted movie tickets, cheaper than you get anywhere else in the world. How do we get these discounts? How did Uber go to the food, Subway and every place else, and get discounted food? Hey, we have this idea. We want to bring food to our customers for the same price they would pay if they got in their car and drove and waited in line to get it. But in order to do that, we need to get the food at a cheaper rate. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, we're going to, we already have 1 million customers, or we have 2 million customers, 5 million customers. By the way, we already have 370,000 customers. We'll have 1 million by March. And it's just starting to snowball. And customers don't quit because why would they quit? It only brings value to their life. So that's what we do. And then what happens, the Prib will learn their search habits. Right now, somebody said, as the Prib started, right now, there's certain pieces of it. Let's say you search Paris. You go on, somebody gives you a boomerang, you search Paris, and then the next day you get an email that says, "Hey, we saw you were looking for a place to stay in Paris." So did we. Here's the better deals based on their criteria. It brings to them the best deals. Maybe brings to them insurance for their trip. Maybe bring them discounted gasoline at, say, Shell gasoline, all exclusive to iBuumerang, customers. 5% discount on Shell. You go negotiate with Shell. I know that there's already been communication opened up with that particular company. That's why I bring that one up. All of a sudden, all your same customers that you gave discounted travel to, now all of a sudden they're saving 5% on the discount. Guess what? 2.5% of that goes to you, and 35% of the other 2.5 will go to the compensation plan and reward the people who built a team. So, the last piece of the Prib, it's so big. Prib is to iBuumerang what Siri is to Apple, or Alexa is to Amazon, and you will down the road be able to talk to the Prib and say, "Hey, I want tickets for this movie at this time, and have my popcorn ready," whatever. But anyhow, when let's say that you have a customer and you give them a boomerang. Now they book a flight and they fly to Houston. And when they land in Houston, we know when they landed, right? We have the data. They book through us. And before they pop up their phone to order their Uber, they get a pop-up that says, "Hey, thank you for booking through iGo. Hope you enjoyed your flight. If you need a ride, Vibe Ride is waiting out front for you." And the first ride is on us. Click here to set up your profile. Like, interesting. I'll save $30 or whatever. I'll take Vibe Ride. Check it out. You're going through the profile. Choose your vibe. What do you want the temperature at when you get in the car? What genre of music do you want on? If you're a female, you can select girl power and only have a female driver pick you up. Holton fixes the problems in industries. He brings competitive advantages. With our rideshare company, our second vertical that is rolling out right now, and will be all anywhere Uber is down the road, people can choose their vibe. A girl driver can select ride girl power and only elect to pick up girl riders if they choose to at any point. So that answers the safety issue. Well, most of it anyways. Now let's say that customer gets that pop-up. They're like, this is interesting. They go outside, they take their vibe ride, they go to their destination, they get a pop-up that says, hey, we noticed you didn't book your hotel through us. Next time, go ahead and book the hotel through us, and you'll save up to 35%. And here's an additional $50. There'll be a code in your back office to use. Now the PRIB is incentivizing that customer, and the company's paying for it to incentivize them to utilize our different verticals, different aspects of them. So then they get that later. But their pop-up also says, please rate your driver. And if you enjoyed it, please share the app with 5 friends. And the ride back to the airport is on us. This is just one example of how, this could go on and on for days. Anyhow, all of a sudden, the PRIB's incentivizing them to get more customers for you. Now, once a customer is off the market, the customer's off the market for life. They're connected to you for life. Again, this is why I say it's 2024 sight. If you go back in Uber and then you got this opportunity, you go give it to everybody that you could. They're connected to you for life. But now the PRIB incentivized utilizing and giving them free, the company paying for it, to give you 5 more customers, more market friends. So they'll send it to enough people to make sure 5 are activated so they get that ride back, the code to get the ride back in their back office. So when they go back to the airport, they'll save another $30 or so. Well, now that one customer just became 5. Now imagine this. And imagine that duplicated out 3, 4, 5 times. I haven't done the math, and we're talking about one customer becoming thousands, potentially thousands. What if you had 1,000 customers or 10,000 customers by that, when that starts rolling out at some point this year? Those customers are not eligible to earn commissions. So every time they use any of our, take any ride anywhere in the world, or they take, book a trip through our platform, or whatever else comes, or use this Boom Mobile that's coming, you get paid forever. They're all your customers. Think about that. The PRIB works harder for us than we could ever work for ourselves. There's a first mover's advantage here like no other. This is global from day one as well.
It's crazy. It's
all right. Yeah, you won't sleep tonight when you really wrap your mind around the PRIB.
Right. Like if you guys get even, I don't think I've got the full PRIB yet, but if you get a glimpse of it, you're exactly right. You'll call Scott tonight and say, hey, I need to sign up. Speaking of Scott,
the ultimate upline, by the way, the PRIB is the ultimate upline.
Right. Scott's one of my favorite dudes. He's become an incredible friend. One thing about Scott is he works about 100 hours a week. He's a firefighter, paramedic. He's, involved in his church, and super family guy, runs a business as well. And we have a lot of these guys and ladies that are just super busy. They got a lot of stuff going on because they got their hand in a lot of pots. They're entrepreneurial. They're, driven by family. And I get the question a lot. Hey, this looks good, but I just don't have a ton of time, coming from maybe companies or being involved in companies where they had to know a lot of products, or had to do parties, or had to have people smell it, touch it, feel it, whatever, So what's your answer here about that question? And for the busy person, can they win here?
Yeah, well, I feel like a dog with a note in his mouth can win here. You'd have to try not to. Like, you cannot. Somebody said to me just recently, hey, the hardest thing about iBuumerang is you can't keep customers. And I thought, what? And he said, yeah, they all become TSAs. And, it's like, you just have to try not to do it. So, can you win? That's the ultimate question. Can I do it? You can't. I couldn't justify 17 years ago when I got into the business, when I went to an event and saw how many people were having success, I couldn't justify they could do something that I couldn't do. And, now we have these people that have never been able to win before, and years in the industry who have 100 customers, in the first 2 weeks or so. Now they're winning. Even though some of the people, maybe nobody customers use our platform yet to book travel. Maybe not, but they will. And maybe and the PRIB will get them, it's something, because it's, Holton wants to own the cell phone space. So ultimately he's won because the reason he's never had success in network marketing before, this given one example, this young man named Ian, he's on the East Coast, and he's been 15 years in the business. He's never been able to win, and he's never been able to recruit the right people. Why? Partially because he didn't have an upline. that was accessible to him to humanize. Like the worst thing somebody could do in this business, or maybe the biggest impediment to success, is to try to do it yourself. And that's where I struggled. How I could sell a $250,000 home to a stranger. How do I get somebody that, I get somebody that knows me and trusts me and do a business that has great upside once I understood it? Well, I love my mom and respect her and trust her as much as anybody does. Why couldn't she get me into the business? I don't know. But that's the way it works. Jim Rohn says, why does the sun come up in the east? Don't try to figure it out. You can't control it. This business is a storyteller. So you win by edifying. Don't pursue your candidates. Let us do it. Let us talk to them on your behalf. That's the mistake I made for a year, why I was making $1,000 a month, because I was trying to do it myself. Made that I wasn't being coachable. I made that adjustment because most businesses are you against the world. So I made that adjustment. A year later, we were making $25,000 a month. It took less effort to go from 1 to 25 than it took to go from 0 to 1. That's leveraging your upline. That's having a great team. That's why we're on this. That's why I'm on this team, because we can bring in Terry's and Felicia's and Scott's. And I didn't bring Terry in. It's a team sport. So you tell someone's story that's not you. The closer you are to the person, the more important this is. Then you humanize that story on a Zoom, on a phone call, in person, and then we will bring them we'll do the heavy lifting. Archimedes said, give me a long enough lever, you can move the world. The ultimate leverage in this business is the PRIB. And, and we're the only PRIB. The whole industry is going to have to come up with an answer to the PRIB in years to come. There's no question about it. I mean, if I was in another company, I would be thinking, I hope this thing doesn't work, because I don't want to go back to work, but my loyalty is to my team. It's not to a company. And if I can't look them in an eye, I've done this once, I'll move on. I feel like they're in the best place to realize the goals that they want to accomplish. And I don't think, anybody has an answer to what's happening right now. This guy is so different that he's completely changing the industry. The one thing you're going to run into the most is it sounds too good to be true. And I started an actual too good to be counter where I'm putting a notch every time. I've heard it more over the last 6 months than I have in my life. It took us 6 months to do what took us 2.5 years to do in our first company in terms of the size of the team we built. I mean, they're not created the same. The trick is to build volume and to help people get points on the board so that the industry is built on the concept of equity. And so for the first time, I'm seeing people that are having success that never could have success before. And that's what it's all about. And so that's why we're here. And you're seeing big networkers that know what to look for all over the place come in. I thought about calling our team Incognito, because there's so many people that are working kind of under the radar because companies don't allow, except iBuumerang. This is another area we're different. They say, go be free. You guess what this is all about, and do bigger and better things with what you build with this business. Freedom, freedom, freedom. But then the second you take a picture of you with another person in another company, they hold your check. I mean, that's stupid. Holton hates that too, because he's been on the receiving end of that as a distributor. So that's not the case here. Well, if, I just lost my train. Oh yeah. You can bring in people, like Terry, put Terry to work, put Scott to work. We work for you. Our resumes are in your email box and we're begging to go to work for you for free. That's what's so unique, about network marketing and about this team and about the people that we're attracting. But when you see a bunch of big networkers coming over and working under the radar, risking $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $50,000 a month, $70,000 a month, or $2 million a year, like in Johnny's case, and are willing to risk it to build here because they see the upside and they say they feel safe and this company's doing things right and it's a level playing field and all these things, then that means it's time to look at it. And that's exactly what's happening. People are coming everywhere and they know what to look for. That's why we're here, because it's happening for the right reasons, with or without all of us on this Zoom right now. And it's happening, the growth is happening for the right reasons. And it will continue to. There's nothing irresponsible. It's all the right things. The it factor, integrity, transparency, loyalty, unity, edification. The company works on all these principles. And you'll discover that. And the deeper you dig, the more you realize that's the case. And that's rare. And so it's happening for the right reasons. And with or without us, that's precisely why I'm building another network marketing business with iBuumerang. If this didn't come around, Terry, I wouldn't be doing network marketing.
Yeah.
I thanked Holton on the $40 million yacht he had us on. I thanked him for this because you're seeing so many people like you, Terry, everybody that I talked to that you've worked with before, like you put me on, people on your team call, a lot of them are people that you've coached for years. And I mean, that's a testament to you, who you are. And these are high level people that you coach. and high level before you started coaching them, and they stay coaching with you for years. That tells me who you are, what you're capable of, right? The number one thing we look for is track record. The dollars just means they do well. They tend to stand out. That's who I guide people to. That's who I'm looking for. That's how I sponsored only 43 in our first company in 14 years and earned millions of dollars and had over 140,000 people in it, and an opportunity that was nowhere near what this is. So you bring in the right people, but you have to have the pieces. And you want to build a downline of people who have more credibility, more influence than you have. And Terry, you fall in that category. And it's because we have all the right things. So I don't need to, we got the right upline that can get you in. We have the right, when you dig in, you'll have to do it. How do you not? How do you sleep at night without doing this once you understand it? You can't. Nobody says no. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, I appreciate those kind comments. Absolutely. And much like yourself, when we, in the early months here, that coachability factor bit pretty hard. And,
that's a tough one, by the way.
Learned, and
everyone thinks they're coachable. That's a tough one.
Just so much more difficult than guys. I'm going to ask one more question. Well, maybe two, but one more question. But I would love for you guys to, if you guys have any questions for Tommy that you want him to expand on tonight, make sure you ask him now. Put them in the chat box. I'll go through them here in a minute. But we have this hashtag rolling around that we've had since the beginning. That's just different. What's that mean to you, Tommy?
Which hashtag? Just different?
The just different hashtag that we use everywhere in the company.
Well, anybody could use hashtags, right? It has to really mean something. Everybody says they operate under, integrity and transparency, but the tongue in this company's Holton shoes matches the tongue in his mouth, and so it's so transparent that I almost feel like it's too transparent sometimes, but that's because I've been trained to be like that, over the years. I was close with the founders in our previous company. We resigned from a company after 14 years on great terms, never had a compliance issue, and we never received a phone call, and did millions and millions of business. We made Diamond. I didn't even know we made it. The next day I get a phone call from Mike, my downline. People were texting me. I'm like, what? Mike calls me. Did you make Diamond? I go, I don't know. I think so. How'd you find this out? People are texting me. He said, Holton just made a video, and posted it to everybody. And I thought, I hardly know this guy. And it was on his birthday, and he was in another country, like out by the beach, and he took the time to congratulate us. And I got emotional because I just couldn't believe it. We resigned after 14 years, did millions, left on great terms, never had a compliance issue. Used to stay at their house every time we went there, Utah, and didn't get a phone call. And this guy takes the time to do this. He asked me to speak in Fort Lauderdale. Comes backstage right before I spoke. I hadn't seen him on the trip yet. Gives me a hug and says, hey, it's your stage. You deserve it. Go out there and, have fun. This is iBuumerang. He didn't speak. You know how I learned? I've come to find out? They like people to go from the heart. And I thought, this is my company, because that's defined my career in this industry. Like, I wing everything, and it's always just from my heart. Let's see where the chips fall. And it's authentic here. And I thought when he came back there and gave me a hug, took a selfie, I thought, this guy never misses a moment. And so it's a family. And so, God, I forgot your question. I don't even know if that answered it. What was the question?
What does just different mean to you?
Oh yeah. Okay. It's so different. It should be like just so different, like way different. And just different is like underplaying, like, it's underselling it. It's just so different. What it means is that this is fun again, and people are having fun again. And people that have invested in themselves, like you, Terry, over all this time, Scott McAllister and others, they've become like my mom. We poured into ourselves to grow, because you have to grow something significant, really significant. And the most exciting part about this business that will come is when you have a team like this, particularly, and your coach, when you plug in, is who you can become in the process. And not the money. The money is a byproduct. And so here, I've seen everything between 0 and $1 million in a year. Holton's seen everything between 0 and $1.5 million per year. That's a lot of wisdom. Nobody else has seen it in this industry. And so you think about just the mentorship. What's that worth? People say, well, the $99 a month. Are you kidding? Like, just that? You know what that would cost? So you get to grow and who you become, and then that's how you learn to keep the money, And Holton teaches all these life lessons. So it is so different, Terry, that not only how we do it, but the culture, the teach a man to fish, they're like that. the tough love, they're like, they're doing us a favor. It's not us doing them a favor plugging in. But when I saw Holton on the boat and I thanked him, because what I love about iBuumerang is it's serving as a platform for the people like us that have really worked on ourselves. And we're in a funk in this industry because there was nothing great. And there was no place to have fun. And there was no place to give ourselves like our mentors gave to us, to be able to pour into us and be their personal best. There hasn't been a platform. And I've watched so many friends that I know that have become better people because of this industry, that have so much to give, and we affect so many people in this business, for the good or the bad, and they know what to look for. So they're not giving themselves in a company in this industry because there hasn't been a great one. So I watched them die, not literally, but I've heard it said, you're either growing or dying. And I learned that how true that is over those years when I'd sat on the couch and, regressed. And, I'm just trying to get back to where I was right now. And a big part of that has been a decision to be coachable again, to pay attention to everything as it relates to me, not just the things that I want to hear or feel comfortable hearing. And I thought everyone in my uplines earn more than me and accomplish bigger things. I thought I'm going to do it their way. And they don't treat me different until I hit diamond than they would somebody brand new. That's what I love. It's fair and it's level. So it's different in every single aspect. So if you have a bias against network marketing, like I told your upline, Dr. Lorette's sponsor, Mike Healy, I said, Mike, this isn't the one to be burned out. I said, trust me, just do the diligence. No is okay, but be crystal clear on on what you might be saying no to. And he goes, I heard that before, and I thought, God, such a bummer that the biggest thing that we need to show people in this industry and with this company is the integrity of the company to successful networkers. So the more experience they have had, the more the more this is accurate. They're the most burnt out. But now iBuumerang's here, and now when they get their nose onto the trail, they realize I have to do this, and their experience is like mine. They peel back the layers, get a look under the hood, and the longer they get to do that and meet the upline and see the integrity, and Holton earns their trust and we earn their trust, then all of a sudden they're excited again, their passion's back, the belief's back, and now they have a platform to go give themselves to people on a huge scale like our mentors did to us. That's what I was thanking Holton for when I ran into him at the front of the boat on that boat in Miami. I said, thank you. Because if iBuumerang didn't come around, I wouldn't be doing this. And I'm watching so many people give what they worked so hard to get, and who people poured in them to help them become again for the first time in so long. And they're having fun. And he looked at me and he said, you're welcome. And he said, but I needed you as much as you needed me. Like basically the industry, it's time for it to change. Yeah. And he's fixing the problems. People are great the way they are. The industry's broken and I'm going to fix it. He's doing it.
That's incredible. Well, on behalf of everybody here, I just want to thank you so much for your time, for your mentorship, for your patience with me, specifically over the last 8-9 months, and just for your leadership in our team. And I was just telling Felicia today how much I've seen you grow over the last 6 to 9 months. Just incredible. And we're just all in this together when we have a CEO that there's nobody that works harder than that dude. I mean, he's not the guy sitting behind the desk doing the thing. So guys, whoever brought you here, just get back to him. But Tommy, one last question here real quick for people making a final decision here. Scott's invited a lot of people. Kim, I was bragging to you about her earlier today, has brought a lot of people. I certainly have a few on the line, and so many other people. When it comes down to that final decision to either come run with us or not, do you have any last words?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest risk, is not doing it. Like seriously, I really feel that way. And for the first, like screaming from the rooftops that you need to do this to my friends. And I don't feel like everybody can do network marketing. I've said that for the years. Anybody can do this but with a bunch of asterisks really beside it, like because you had to have that gumption. You had to have something on the inside that's different. And than a lot of people. I always said if people knew me from the inside, they might bet on me. Things come difficult, and but I'm willing to work harder. But there's a price is paid when that's the case. You have to, you miss things, and not have balance. And so be clear on, why you want to do this. But, I keep posting and doing lives on my Facebook, and I don't like burying my wall with like network marketing. But I literally am so excited, Terry, that, and every time I post, I've already sponsored more personals in this company than I did in 14 years in the first one. And I'm, as you know, I'm selective. And because you can be, even the 747 captain doesn't get to choose who's in the second seat. That's one of my favorite things about this business. You get to pick and choose who you work with. And there's like a world cruise. How many people you want to be stuck on a boat with? Not that many for a month, right? Well, there's less people that you really want to be in a business with, right, Scott? So, but we talked about this, but and so I'm thankful for your partnership, and to be able to work with you. You guys, seriously, don't miss this. Every time I post, people join, they jump in, and I'm like, oh man, I got to stop posting, but I can't help it because for the first time ever, I got to find more. I got to tell somebody. Like everybody in my house already told this stuff to. I just am screaming from the rooftops. When I go to my Facebook, you can learn a lot about people from their Facebook, right? And look, it's like, dude, iBuumerang, dude, settle down. I can't help it because I feel like I know the score. Like my mentor said, I can, I'll take responsibility. It's like, and I'll end with this. It's like if, let's say you are what do you watch sports, Terry? Like you might be like, you have I know, Scott, never mind, Scott. Yeah, Scott. Who's your favorite basketball team?
Scott. Go ahead and unmute, brother.
The Suns, of course.
Okay. So let's say that you were watching, you couldn't watch a Suns game and you recorded it, DVR'd it, and you'd love to, you don't want to catch the score, right? You're on your way home from whatever you're doing, you're out doing meetings and you don't want to catch the score, but now it's almost impossible with all the apps and the pop-ups and everything. You accidentally catch the score. You hear it on the radio, whatever. But you get home, you watch it anyways because the athletes are so, dynamic and explosive, and it's a cool sport to watch, right? It's a fast-moving game, and you decide to watch. You always watch it anyways, and you're down by 15 with 2 minutes left. I mean, you normally, if you're a big Suns fan, you follow it close, and your blood pressure is just like through. And if somebody comes in the room, you yell at them, kick the coffee table over. I don't know how crazy you are, but I really couldn't see you doing any of those things, by the way. But let's just say maybe in another life. But when you know the score already, you're just totally stable. And, you're just thinking, it's going to be interesting to watch how they pull this off. I mean, your blood pressure doesn't change whatsoever. And that's how my mentor worked the business 17 years ago. And I always thought, how? It was easy for him to do the business building activities because he knew the score. I was laying in bed thinking, man, is this real? Can we do this? Is it right for us? Is there smoke and mirrors? We went through all the emotions of building, of getting discouraged if somebody didn't do what they say they were going to do, and learning, hey, listen, you can't be discouraged if you want to succeed. It's a luxury you can't afford. Well, that was wisdom. And, these type of things. Oh, I said, I want to fall asleep and wake up in 3 years because I wanted the time to go by so quick. And I had this expectation of 3 years before I'd be able to walk away from my job. It was way sooner. That was the expectation set from a book I read by Robert Kiyosaki about this industry. And I respected that guy, what he accomplished. He had credibility to me. And he didn't have a vested interest in my success. And this is when I was still skeptical. And he said, no, you don't. You don't want to fall asleep. And I thought, why? He said, because you'd missed out on the greatest part of the business. What's that? Who you become in the process. Easy for you to say, you're already set for life. That was my thought. 3 years later, I had a defining moment that totally validated what he said. So you can work this one like the score and borrow my belief, borrow my confidence, borrow my understanding, and borrow Terry's, but don't try to do it yourself. Work closely with us. This is a team. We're playing on a team with Michael Jordan. What can you learn from that? But get coaching. Don't make a move without getting coaching every step of the way, particularly the first 30 or 60 days. We work for you. And again, we're trying to determine where our spend our time. Scott, Terry, have I ever disagreed to do something if you've asked me? Scott, I mean, you came over here, sat in my office right here, and you brought a team of firemen and cops right in my house, dude. What are you doing? So my house wasn't on fire. Just great people, high quality people, good people. And that's what we're looking for. But I mean, we're here, and we will be with you. You can put my name to it and take it to the bank. I will be with you every step of the way. And I have infinite patience for people who try. And life is a do-it-yourself project. And, this business is a shortcut to help you realize whatever it is you're passionate about, to have the time and the freedom to do that. It doesn't hinder you going where you want to go. It's an enhancement to get you where you want to go quicker. So that's it. I appreciate you guys. Honor Scott, everybody else. Like, I'll be here. If anybody has questions, if you want to talk after this, I'm in. If you want to talk, 4 a.m, I'm in. If you want to talk tomorrow, if you have people you want to talk to, you want to get your questions answered while they're fresh on your mind, Terry's qualified to answer them. Scott's qualified to answer them. But if you know them, then they're not qualified to answer. Joe Montana's son had a quarterback coach all through school. Why? Because what does his dad know about throwing a football? If you embrace that, everybody is your kid in this business. You're going to build an empire. So.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy. Everybody, when we're done here, get over to iBoom Global and show Tommy some love. We so appreciate you, my friend. And like I tell everybody all the time, I say, here's the deal. You got to give me 1% trust, and 1% trust is jumping in this thing, and I'll earn the other 99%. And I live by that. And all of you know that know me. But that comes from the top. That comes from Holton. If you don't know me today, you shouldn't trust me. But just give me 1%, and let us earn the rest. Let our actions, not our words, speak. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a run for the ages. So I just want to thank you, Tommy. Get back to whoever put you on this call. And if it's time to fly, I'm just like Tommy. I don't care what time it is. Call me. I'll be here. Let's rock this thing. So Jenny, I'd love to chat with Jenny. She wants to talk about some personal questions after. So whoever brought Jenny on board, I'm certainly here. So Tommy, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so very much. And on behalf of all of TeamDARE here, we love you, brother. I appreciate your leadership and your patience and everything else. Thank you, sir.
Love you guys too, man. I'll get you. You'll be on the stage soon where you belong. Thanks for helping so many people. And see you soon, Scott. See you soon, Terry, from some country around the world. Bye, everybody. I'm going to sign off. Appreciate it, everyone.